Welcome to Ask Amrita and Bela on Child Development. Thank you for sending us questions that you want answered. Bela and I will both answer one question each. So, my first question is, my child is 4 years old and does not like to share her toys with her younger sister who is 2. As a result, there's chaos at home. Please guide me on what to do. I really get where you're coming from. As a parent, you want your child to share. You want your child to share because sharing teaches cooperation, collaboration, and teamwork. Sharing with friends and family can increase the unity and bond you feel with them. But let me tell you something that you probably don't know about sharing. The ability to share is a developmental milestone. Now, just like you wouldn't expect a 3-month-old child to walk or a 2-month-old child to read, you can't expect your child to share until they are developmentally ready to share. I know somewhere some teacher or some parent is saying, but my child could read at 2 years old, or my child could, identify letters. But just however, like every other milestone, there is an age range. And most children do not begin to understand the concept of sharing until they are able to understand that others have a different point of view. So I want you to consider the stage of the child. So a child's psychosocial development right now is happening, and this shows how a child grows and relates to society around him. So young children are very naturally very egocentric. They have difficulty seeing anything outside of their own point of view. And egocentrism is very different from egotism. So egotism means that a child feels or a person feels that he or she is superior than others. But egocentricity is a developmental stage. Children are egocentric not because they're selfish or self-centered, but because they're incapable of seeing things from another's perspective. So we've got a lot of research which has validated all this, and it has been proven that during the ages of approximately 2 years to 7 years, children are slowly beginning to understand that other children also have different thoughts, perspectives, ideas from their own. So during this time, if you ask your child to share, they are only just beginning to understand the concept and they may not share. That doesn't mean you should not ask your child to share. No, just like every other skill, sharing or these values take practice, time, and positive reinforcement to inculcate. And you can do a lot to help your child learn to share. The first thing that you can do is to model and encourage sharing of all types. So when you're helping your neighbor or you're helping other people, your child is seeing you and your child knows, that this is the right thing to do. Another thing is help your child express their feelings. Talk to them and tell them, oh, I know how upsetting it can be to wait, but right now it's your sister's turn. Soon it's going to be your turn. So a child knows that they have to give it to their sister. And of course, if you want peace, the final thing would be have multiples of toys. So you have peace. So the only other advice I can give you is have patience. Your child is going to grow out of this and your child will eventually learn to share. I hope this helps. If you need any more clarity on this, please do get back to me on our email. Bye-bye.
The second question is, my child throws a tantrum and gets embarrassing, especially in public. How can I handle this behavior? Well, I can sure understand your embarrassment. Tantrums come in all shapes and sizes. You might see crying, screaming, stiffening limbs, an arched back, kicking, falling down, or running away. In some cases, children hold their breath, vomit, break things, or get aggressive as part of a tantrum. As parents, our job is to be the pacifiers and supporters during this emotionally confusing phase of our little ones. And as always, a little patience will do the job. Well, the first point that you need to keep in mind is avoid negativity. We should not have anything negative going on in our minds, and don't play blame games. Children can express emotions through language, and when things don't get their way, they tend to react. You've seen kids really throwing tantrum when they can't express themselves freely. Although no one can be blamed for this temper tantrum, bad parenting can create scenarios that cause these tantrums. In the bad act, but not the bad person. It is always the bad act, okay? Sometimes we say very bad, and when the child is throwing a tantrum, maybe he's throwing his toys here and there, but when the child asks, ma'am, was I bad, mom? We say, no, it was not you, but the act that you did. Your tantrum was bad, but you are not bad. You are a good child. So remember, all children are good, irrespective of terrible tantrums. We need to understand why children throw tantrums. So once we understand that, we'll have more clarity in ourselves. Tantrums can be due to inability to express. When child is not knowing how to express himself, that's when the tantrum starts. And we don't understand what the child is trying to say. They resort to maybe physical action, crying, or that's what we call them as tantrums. So after a temper tantrum, explain to your child that his or her behavior could have been avoided if such and such words were used. So tell him which words he's able to use to explain himself. Slowly, as communication improves, tantrums will reduce. And how do you handle these tantrums? Well, we'll share a few tips with you all. There are some tantrums that you can give in. That means you can agree to them, because suppose it's something like your child wants to watch an additional 10 minutes of TV time, and that could be acceptable if the child is a holiday next day, or the child is really enjoying the show. You may be able to give in to the tantrum. So sometimes you should give in to tantrums, and sometimes you should not. So you should know when to differentiate between that. However, once extended deadline, suppose you give him a deadline, but the deadline is over, then you cannot negotiate further, the tantrum or no tantrum. You should stick to your deadlines. But tantrums for things like brushing your teeth or going to school would not be accepted by parents, and you should never give in to those things. It is important to remember that misbehaving in public places is unacceptable. But so is scolding or embarrassing the child in public. Imagine what the child is going to feel if you're going to really shout at him in public. Amid a tantrum at a public place, try to make eye contact with your child and convey the idea that you are not liking his or her behavior. Later at home, discuss the situation and mention the severity of such improper behavior. Distraction is the best way to nullify temper tantrums, and the easiest way to make your child stop throwing a tantrum is to distract or maybe grab the attention of your child doing something else. For example, you can even say they can just start singing a song, impromptu song, and make him distract him, or maybe remove some favorite toy of your child. He really loves this toy, bring it out that time, and just distract his attention from that particular tantrum. You could even make some funny noises, just distract the child basically. And secondly, I would like to end with this beautiful quote by L.R. Nost. It is called that when people are overwhelmed by big emotions, it's our job to share our calm and not to join their chaos. Yes, so thank you once again for listening to us. And if you would like to have more questions answered, please email us on the abcdshow6@gmail.com, and we'll be more than happy to answer all your queries. Thank you once again. Until next time. Bye-bye.